Here now a second reading, this one from the book of Exodus, the 32nd chapter. When the people saw that Moses delayed to come down from the mountain, the people gathered around Aaron and said to him, "Come, make gods for us, who shall go before us. As for this Moses, the man who brought us up from the land of Egypt, we do not know what has become of him." Aaron said to them, "Take off your gold rings that are on your ears and the ears of your wives, your sons, and your daughters, and bring them to me." So all the people took off the gold rings from their ears and brought them to Aaron. He took the gold from them, formed it in a mold, and cast an image of a calf. And then said, "This is your God, O Israel, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt." When Aaron saw this, he built an altar before it, and Aaron made the proclamation, saying, "Tomorrow shall be a festival to the Lord." They rose early the next day and offered burnt offerings and brought sacrifices of well-being, and the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to revel. God said to Moses, "Go down at once. Your people whom you brought out of the land of Egypt have acted perversely. They have been quick to turn aside from the way that I commanded them. They have cast for themselves an image of a calf and have worshipped it and sacrificed to it." The Lord said to Moses, "I have seen this people, how stiff-necked they are. Now let me alone, so that my wrath may burn hot against them, and I may consume them, and of you I will make a great nation." But Moses implored God and said, "Why does your wrath burn hot against your people, whom you brought out of the land of Egypt with great power and a mighty hand? Why should the Egyptians say, 'It was with evil intent that God brought them out to kill them in the mountains and to consume them from the face of the earth'? Turn from your fierce wrath, change your mind, and do not bring disaster upon your people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, your servants, how you swore to them by your own self, saying to them, 'I will multiply your descendants like the stars of heaven, and all this land that I have promised I will give to your descendants, and they shall inherit it forever.' And God changed God's mind about the disaster that God planned to bring upon the people." Here ends the reading. So a cat dies and goes to heaven. God, and for those of you who don't know me, I don't believe cats go to heaven. I'm just kidding. God meets him at the gate and says, "You have been a good cat all these years. Anything you desire is yours. All you have to do is ask." The cat says, "Well, I have lived all my life with a poor family on a farm and had to sleep on hardwood floors." God says, "Say no more." And instantly a fluffy pillow appears. A few days later, 6 mice are killed in a tragic accident, and they also go to heaven. God meets them at the gate with the same offer that was made to the cat. The mice said, "All our lives we've had to run. Cats, dogs, even women with brooms have chased us. If only we could have a pair of roller skates. We wouldn't have to run anymore." God says, "Say no more." And instantly each mouse is fitted with a beautiful pair of tiny roller skates. About a week later, God decides to check and see how the cat is doing. The cat is sound asleep on his new pillow. God gently wakes him and asks, "How are you doing? Are you happy here?" The cat yawns and stretches and says, "Oh, I've never been happier in my life. And those Meals on Wheels you've been sending over are the best." Some things never change. That, however, is not true of the God we read about this morning in Exodus. God changes. At least God changes God's mind. Moses had been gone for over a month, presumably up the mountain with God, and the people were getting restless. Was Moses really gone? Did God go with him? This might seem a silly question to us, but the people hadn't really experienced God apart from Moses. They were a package deal. Sure, Moses had told them that it was indeed the God of their ancestors who freed them, but it was Moses who initiated the great plagues, Moses who raised his arm to part the Red Sea, Moses who struck a rock and water flowed, even Moses who had relayed the message that bread would fall from heaven. Did the God of their ancestors really even exist apart from Moses? They couldn't touch or see, let alone hear, their God, but the Egyptians could touch and see their gods. In fact, all of their neighbors could touch and see their gods. With Moses gone, the people wanted a God they knew was with them. So Aaron, Moses' brother, made them one. "Here it is, a holy cow," Aaron told the people, "the God who brought you up out of Egypt. Tomorrow we're having a party." Apparently, God, the one who Moses was hanging out with up on the mountain, was none too happy about it. What, I wonder, was at the root of the divine's displeasure? Sure, the people had sacrificed to the image of a holy cow, but according to Aaron, the cow was just a stand-in for the God who delivered them from slavery. It seems that while they were technically worshiping an idol, a representation of the holy, it was still intended to represent God. With Moses gone, the people needed reassurance that God hadn't left them too. Was that really so bad? God thought so. It took a lot of convincing on Moses' part to talk God out of completely wiping out the lot of them. But it worked. In the story, God's mind was changed. Looking at this text from my perspective, it seems that the heart of the issue was the people's attempt at containing the holy, here in the form of a holy cow. The cow, made of gold, was pretty. It was visible, tangible. It stayed in its place. In the cow, divinity was containable. To be honest, given God's track record in Genesis and Exodus, I'd say that might have been a pretty desirable characteristic. This is the God that talks through flaming shrubbery, turns rivers to blood, sends plagues of frogs, locusts, gnats, and wild animals, causes sickness in people and livestock, rains fire, blocks the sun, kills firstborns, leads in a pillar of fire and follows in a pillar of smoke, parts the seas, drowns an army. This God could not be domesticated. This God was out of control. In many ways, the holy cow seems preferable to the wild God of their ancestors, especially if you're on God's bad side. The people tried to contain God in a golden, cow-shaped prison, and God wasn't having it. While our ancestors in faith fell to the temptation of worshiping a fixed, finite object in the eternal's place, the truth is, we too are prey to the same temptation, it seems, when we make the holy too manageable, too comfortable, and even too fixed. One might say monolithic, since the word itself suggests a large stone block, the epitome of an idol, strong and immovable and so reassuring. Are we ever guilty of doing this? What holy cows might we cast as stand-ins for the undomesticatable divine? How about religion, scripture, theology, symbols, traditions, the church? this church? Does the holy cow we create to contain the transcendent look like us? Like a straight, white, male, middle upper class American? If there's one thing this ancient story might remind us of today, it's this: our holy cows are a poor substitute for the real deal. If we want to see and experience the holy in our church and in our midst, we, like the ancients in this story, will have to smash our holy cows right open and let the Spirit blow where she will, free and utterly wild. It's a little unsettling, isn't it? My holy cow started cracking in high school. I can credit this to a wonderful, budding atheist and lesbian we'll call Mandy. Mandy was nice. We sat next to each other in class. We worked on projects together. I realized that I wasn't going to catch atheism from her the way I might catch a cold, and I certainly wasn't going to catch lesbianism. I'd been raised in a conservative Southern Baptist church and had some pretty monolithic ideas about God and humanity and sin. Mandy put the first real crack in my cow. In college, another blow was dealt by the chaplain, a female minister. I'd never met a female minister. Her name was Mary, and among friends, I jokingly referred to her as Mother Mary. Mary taught me that one could be a real Christian and still learn from and even affirm the religions that are different than mine. Yet another blow came to my cow when another wonderful clergy person, Reverend Kristen, introduced me to the song Mother Jesus. I seriously thought my head would explode, and helped me see that it was possible to be both gay and Christian. She broke through enough of that holy cow that I even started considering seminary. In seminary, my holy cow just fell completely apart. It's been made and remade several times since, and each time, the holy has just busted out of it. I honestly think that is the nature of the divine, always challenging us, always breaking through the walls that we erect around our holy cows, always making and remaking the holy in her own image instead of ours, because that is just what the divine does. What might this unbound, untamed, uncontrollable wild one do loose in our church? What enlivening experiences, fresh truths, or unexpected discoveries might be open to us personally when our holy cows come crashing down? I look forward to finding out, and I hope you do too. May it be so. Amen.